Welcome back to the silver lining tutorials on this particular hosted product of ours. I'm going to demonstrate now setting the handset up. DDI. So I could opt to change that DDI if I wanted to allocate a different DDI to that particular user. I can also look at the services that are available to that user. We looked at voicemail, we could make the reception, I'm not going to go into that now. But also I can look at things like how they handle calls, so incoming calls. So when they're busy, what do you want to happen? So in this scenario, I'm going to send the call to voicemail. When they don't answer, I'm going to send a voicemail. And what happens in the event of being unreachable? This is really useful in a scenario whereby maybe you've got internet failure. So if you want to know what happens, if I was to ring the DDI number of this particular user and there is no internet, you clearly want the call to reach somewhere. So in this scenario, I'll just use my mobile number. Look at the voicemail settings. I can opt to have it notify me if any emails come in. So mark.james, and obviously I would use Peter Parker if he was a live agent. You'll notice I'm using the default network greeting, so it'll be a default greeting. It's just a standard automated recorded greeting that's on the platform, but I could opt to upload my own audio file if I want to do that. So do talk to us about that. That isn't straightforward, and there is a particular way that we found that makes it fairly easy. I want to show you some other things here as we're on this page. So call handling we've looked at. You could opt to forward calls. You could put a mobile number in here or a different number, and you can also change the number of rings if they don't answer before actions. Twinning. So twinning simply allows you to, I can have a test, I'll just put a test here. This could be another number. So it could be a mobile number, for example. So 07703 672 651. So if I was to ring the DDI number of Peter Parker, this mobile would simultaneously ring. So both devices ring at the same time. I'm going to actually get rid of that for a minute. You can add multiple numbers into there. Blacklist, so if there are numbers in here that you wish to add to the system whereby if they call in, you don't want those calls to ring your handset, you can basically blacklist them. And here we can see you can do things like reject numbers that withheld. You've got do not disturb, which I will turn on, and you can change things like enable music for calls on hold. Some people opt not to have that turned on. I'm just going to reboot this handset. It's beat me to it. You can see that it takes a while sometimes for the handset to reboot. It's recognised it's not connected. So we'll now go through a reboot sequence. What I'm looking for are green lights. So red lights would say there's no internet, there's no connection. Orange which shows connect to the platform, but for some reason it's not finished configuring for whatever reason. What I'm looking for is green lights. So once I've got green lights, I know the handset's ready. Speed dials. So here I could add different kinds of speed dials to the system here. So it could be in this scenario, as you can see, I've got two on Peter's. I've got one called the bar and one called the kitchen. So this handset was demoed in a restaurant yesterday. And what we were demonstrating to them was that you could quickly reach other areas of the business that are important at key times of the day. Call recording. So you've got some options here around call recording. You have the options to record all of the calls, or you could say actually just record 10% of the calls. I just want to record certain calls at certain times. You could also do what's called pause and resume. So during the call you could opt to pause the recording and then resume the recording afterwards, or you can simply have do not record calls. So, and you can do that on a per user basis, so you're not limited to how you configure that. The on-demand feature is quite useful. So the way this works is if you're on a telephone call with a customer and they say something or you say something, we share information that you think is relevant and useful to both parties, you can initiate what's called record on demand. So it's a star feature, so talk to us about that. So the star feature, simply what it does, it tells the system to keep the recording at the end of the call. So every call is recorded. In the normal circumstances where you're not recording calls, at the end of the calls the system simply dumps the recording. If it gets the start command during the call, it knows to keep that recording, so it tags that recording, and then you can go into the system and you can collect that as an administrator. So useful feature. Call forwarding. So here, really simply, I've got a number here, and I can forward the calls. And I won't go through the rest of those, but they're just to give you an idea of the kind of basic setups you have on how you set up users.